Cheers to some nice chai latte. So my name is Harry Bonch. People call me Harry, just like Harry Potter. So a little bit about myself. I'm an AWS engineer. I guess that's why we're all here today. I graduated from NC State University, did some computer engineering, and yeah. I was interning with Brian that summer, and some of my friends in the hallways of EB2, which people call it at NC State, it's just like an engineering building, and they're all like stacked up against the computer, and they were just like, oh, Amazon internships opened up, and all the full-time also positions opened up, and I was like, oh wow, okay. I didn't really think about it twice, and I was like, I was in the back of my head that, oh, one more internship I could apply for, and I just applied for it. I didn't think much about it at the time, so it was. And when I applied for it, I got this like assessment I had to do, and I was like, oh, well, maybe let's see how it goes. And from there, we started to roll the ball.
Wait, so you interned first?
So I didn't. I did apply for the internship role and the full-time role. Thought I could extend this summer.
Yeah.
But I guess I was graduating, and then they qualified me for the full-time role at the time.
Very
so
nice.
I got. Basically, you can apply for a bunch of different roles, but the recruiters will only reach out for that one role you're really a good fit for.
Nice. Yeah. That makes sense.
I did get a return offer from IBM, and every other places had offers from other places as well. But really, what enticed me was like the Amazon offer and like its DC area.
Yeah.
Funny story.
So you knew it was going to be DC area?
No, I didn't. So when you apply for a full-time role at the time, you get to pick like top 3 locations, and I picked, I believe, Seattle, Boston, and California. And Arlington was fairly new. It's like the HQ2 was being announced and launched. So when that happened, I was surprised to even find out that I was going to Arlington. But all my friends who did also accept the offers did end up going to Seattle. So that was a surprise.
So did you have like a pretty big group from NC State that also joined Amazon, like same year as you, like same cohort?
I knew at least actually we had 4 or 5 people I knew of who are joined Amazon after I went in, but I know some of my buddies who also applied. They also had interviews, and one of them did accept the offer or got an offer at the time, but his position was all in Seattle. So I was the only one in Arlington at the point. When I first joined, I believe it was only like 500 people, and they're all fairly new. They had some senior engineers and some managers. And the building, there were like 3 buildings, I believe. We called them WAS 14, 15, 16 at the time. And they were renting out a building, like top 2 floors when I joined. So it was like a modified building I came into. So yeah, now it's like over like 1,000 people, and probably more now, like triple that maybe.
I still haven't even seen the office. It's like a glass building, right? Like,
yeah, it's like a series of glass buildings.
I need to go over
just
there,
jumbled out in Crystal City. Like you'll find a bunch of them actually. And then building another one.
Yeah, clearly I don't leave DC very often, but I need to. I should.
Yeah. Once you're in DC, you're not leaving. That's why I'm not living in DC.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And since I'm carless, like I'm just like every time I have to cross the river.
In a product called CloudTrail. People often confuse this with CloudWatch. CloudWatch is like the logging where you can just get all your debug logs and send to cloud. CloudTrail is specifically a security product where whenever you call an API that interact with, you know who, what, when did the action. And it's really just used for like security purposes or tracing your steps back if something goes wrong.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not, is it a part of CloudWatch?
It's not part of it. It's an independent service.
Okay.
So every time, we have our own logs. We essentially every AWS service is built on other AWS services. Let's put it that way.
That makes sense.
If I'm not gonna lie, like the first 6 months I was heavily confused on what we do differently than CloudWatch. But once I really got into the product, it totally makes sense. But all it is like you make an API call and you just get an associated. You call it an event, essentially, and it just tells you. It just has details about who, what, when, what action was happening, and it's for all of AWS services. So essentially, it's pretty big. So based on how the program works, when you do get assigned, I got assigned to a different team at the time, and through that, I was working as an away team on CloudTrail team. So eventually when we completed the project, they just asked us to join the team, and I was like, all right, I was totally open to it. So I worked on a different team and then migrated over. But it was within the bigger same organization, you could say.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So,
is it pretty common to move teams like within?
yeah, I mean,
AWS?
people move around all the time. The people I started with are some of them there, and some of them have joined different teams, different companies. So I think the movement is definitely there. It really depends on your growth and what you're looking for as a career. And if you see that in any organization in general, you should just shoot for it. It's definitely a transition over the last 4 years, I would say, because I started at AWS and it was like pretty much a normal workday, and then it was like 5 days a week, right? No one mandated much.
So you started pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, 2 weeks before COVID, funny enough. So it was like a normal office, like this is my first full-time job, so I only did an internship prior to this, so it was just like 5 days a week. That's what I assumed. Go in first, and then 2 weeks I was there, and then it was COVID, and everything started to change over time. And then I was fully remote for 2 straight years, right? And then 2-3 years I was there, and then they asked us to come back to the office, and it was only 2 times a week. And then it was moved to 3 times a week. Right now, 3 times a week. So 2 days we go in, the team goes in, and then 1 flex day. So it's pretty flexible, still better than going 5 days a week. I started off as computer engineering. I haven't touched anything I did in computer engineering because a lot of it's like C-based.
Right.
Unless you work on teams that require you to work on hardware, which I don't. I haven't touched C or C++ much. But other than that, everything's a fair game, I would say. Python, Java, React, TypeScript, JavaScript, whatever's really needed for the project. I pretty much worked on with all these languages and always new ones coming up. I mean, Rust is blowing up right now. So a lot of migrations happening to that. So definitely like whatever's needed for the project. I mean, once you know how to do some basic, you just kind of have to like Google your way too. Now you can use AI to help yourself out. So that's even better. There's an expectation on each level you are. As a senior engineer, you kind of have like a bigger design and more aspect. One of the things AWS or Amazon in general likes to use is a dog analogy, where you have like, if you're like an L4 engineer, you're working on like basically like the tail of the thing, you just know how to work on your own thing, and then you become an L5 engineer where you like have a bigger component, and then the senior engineers are like the entire dog, like architecting. They might not know every minute detail, but they're able to pull themselves to it if they need to and get around and design the entire dog, different parts of the dog. So it's kind of like that.
It's so funny that it's a dog. Like, why does it have to be a dog? Actually, they're designing a dog?
Yeah, so AWS is dog friendly. So if you walk into the office every day, you will see some kind of a puppy, a dog, like they have dog biscuits everywhere. Yeah. It's a very dog friendly organization. I'm not a senior yet.
That's 6?
Shooting for L6 a senior, L5 is I guess engineering 2.
Yeah.
And then new grad usually is L4s.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you started off at 4?
Yeah. I came in as a new grad and then moved up to L5 and obviously going for L6 at this point. Yeah, generally it takes about like 2 to 3 years for L4 to L5, and then from L5 to L6 it can really range. But it's really like 3 to like 6 years I've seen.
Yeah,
to get
it probably
to
gets. I assume this is how it would go, but like it probably gets harder and harder the higher up. You know, like the longer. Is it longer amount of time,
it's also a scope. Really, you could technically, based on the guidelines, you could get promoted in like a couple months if you really wanted to. If you deliver a product and you act according to the rubric. If you do like L6 scope, is just like cross-team work, able to mentor people, all of that. If you're doing and performing at that level consistently, they could technically promote you. So I've seen some really fast promotions, but it's like, it's pretty rare. I would say one part going to office is free coffee, like from an actual barista. I mean, compared to other companies like Google, Meta, like honestly, I'm not speaking much here.
Do you get free food?
No.
Okay, that's the thing. Everybody asks me that. I'm like,
free food?
We don't get free food at Microsoft either. Everyone thinks that. I'm like, that is like a select few companies. That is not.
Yeah, it's a very handful. I know Twitter back in the day, now X. I'm not sure if Elon will let that happen, but
he might have said no more.
Might as well said no at this point. I know like only Meta and like Google. I'm not sure. I mean, there might be small startups or small companies doing it, but
LinkedIn has it, which is annoying.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because
it's Microsoft, right?
Yes, but like when Microsoft bought LinkedIn, they like continued that LinkedIn gets free food. And it's
LinkedIn
like,
culture.
come on, like we're one Microsoft. Like, shouldn't we?
Snap, yeah.
But
we do get free bananas though. Like there's a banana stand outside. It's for the entire community. It's not just AWS. You just go in, grab free bananas.
wait,
Literally every
that
day.
is sweet.
Yeah. During business hours, just go and grab bananas.
Wait, so it's like you have to go into the building and get it?
No, it's outside. You can just, every AWS building has a banana cart outside. You just go and grab it and walk away. You're always on call. I think that's one thing that's very unique to AWS. I'm sure a few other companies might have it, but one thing I noticed is you're always on call in terms of that everybody in AWS, at least I know, is assigned to an on-call of some sort. And
wait, not all the time though, right?
Not
like,
all. Oh yeah.
Okay, I was
not
like
all the time.
I was like, how do you live? Like,
Well, that's where it gets a little like gray area. So depends on like if you start a new team and you're the only expert and you haven't hired many folks yet, so you are all on call all the time until you have a bigger team.
Right.
Which I was for like the last 3 months. Me or my coworkers, like every other week we were on call.
Man,
doing
that is
some
tough.
work. So that lasted for about 3 weeks. Our team was really good about recruiting people, hiring, and getting them started. So now we have about 6+ people. So now the on-call becomes more bearing. So that's one thing though, you do own what you build, and you have like direct control over it, and you can see the impact directly.
Right,
you don't have to wait for it to come from top down. You're getting tickets from your customers on a daily basis. You're like, wow, I know that name.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. And it's 24/7, so it's like you might get paged at 2 a.m. So we do try to minimize in general. Like I haven't gotten paged around 2 a.m. recently at all, but the two try to minimize it. And you have like based on the priority, you can organize stuff, but you can get paged, and I've been paged sometimes.
Right.
It's exciting, but also you're fearful. If you're new on the team or like you've never worked on this component, you're like, you're getting on this call with other people, are like, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if I can page my coworker who worked on this one. So there's a lot of decisions you make in that aspect. I feel like you grow a lot in how to handle situations and like prioritizing things. But yeah, that's like one, like I would say probably mostly a downside than an upside. One thing is like more free food. We need more things.
Yeah.
One thing.
I think everyone would probably agree with that everywhere.
It's like a very like tough place to be if you are starting out. I would say like the ballpark of the growth area. Initially when I started, like the expectations were high, so you'll be challenged. And it's I wouldn't say it's a place for everyone initially. In order to grow, you have to put in those extra hours, like on the weekends. Definitely the first 7 months when I started, I was just like, I was working weekends for sure.
Yeah.
But then over time, I don't work weekends anymore. But once you get good at it and you're able to prioritize things and you have the communication going, you build systems into place. I don't. But occasionally that culture does exist where that people are of that sort. Depending on your team too. Depending on the team and like how active it needs to be. Especially coming out of new grad, you're just trying to figure out how do I navigate the corporate world. I feel like.
So that's probably where people fall into like, they feel they need to work a lot harder too.
Just like catch up, see if they've missed anything. Like you always feel like someone else is able to do it, so why can't you do it? So I think that exists, and it's okay to not know something, but also at Amazon, one thing is like even if you don't know something, the expectation is that like you'll dive deep and like get in the dirty waters. Essentially, you're always touching some other people's code base, and you have to be able to read through that. So there's definitely that expectation, and it's just it's good. You get better at what you're doing, and you just don't fear anymore. There have been definitely calls where I just pulled up code. I just started like, I feel like I was reading code at this point, and I didn't think I could do that when I first started. When I saw like other engineers do it, I was just like, man, like if like what is this? Like what does that even mean? But now you can like over time when you start doing enough, like, you just start reading it, and it's just like wow, like that was my turning point. I would say where I started to feel more comfortable. But until then, it was just like. Free coffee honestly hits because that's really
more than the free bananas.
More than the free bananas, the barista makes it for you, and there's been a system where you try to finesse more free coffees in a day, but it's limited, so it's kind of like a downside. But the fact that I just live right across from work and I just go in and like have a nice desk to play with, and just like really meeting my coworkers, I would say that's one of the best things. Just like talking, sometimes like even during lunch, getting some food outside and socializing a little bit. That's what I really look forward to going to work. Work is always work, right? Like you solve that at home. I was working from home. I could do anything. With the people. People make it like worth it for me. Amazon's like very strict, and I wouldn't say strict, but like everyone embodies like the principles. I've seen that like raise the bar, like, or like use one of the 12 Amazon principles in a meeting, and I'm like, was really surprised initially, but some of those principles I do apply to my daily life. It's weird saying that, but like
they got you,
have
man.
high standards. Like it's kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense in some aspects. So in that, the culture is very like much there, at least for my team and like extended teams I worked with. And when you do ping someone, there is a response, like there's a sort of commitment to like taking ownership of that and getting back to you. That I feel like was unique from all my other internships, where you could actually make an impact. If you do build something overnight, you could actually launch it. It's like there's no blockers. Like no one's gonna like stop you. Just go get a review and just launch. Like it's that simple. But you do have to go through certain layers of like evaluation and like see if it's worth their time, the bandwidth, and if you're able to convince people, it's all yours. In general, I think the way I like to live, like even AWS life or outside, is like kind of try a lot of different things, and based on like how fast you can fail, you can find what you really like. And I've done that over even when I'm coding something, or like I didn't want to like sit and wait around if something works, or even different careers or like side gigs. For me, like just trying it and seeing it fail is just like branching off ideas and just like giving it a shot, and don't be afraid to fail, I guess. And I've failed many times.
As you should.
Yeah, I mean, like literally I tried different things, and I'm actually glad like Brian here is like starting kind of inspiring me to do some YouTube. I'm thinking about it in the back of my head. I didn't say that to you, but like it's bringing that side of me out, and I tried a lot of different things, to be honest. I even had a boba startup. Like back
it all comes back to the
drinks again. I tried to do that for a while, so there's a lot of different things, and like you just find like where you're sitting, and I feel like you're always uncomfortable a little bit, which is good because it helps you find new things.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and of course, thank you to Harry for joining. Please let me know down below in the comments if you enjoy this type of content, because this is definitely something new for me. And if you haven't, please of course subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.